My name is Claude Bertrand, and I'm the Green Party candidate for the Pontiac.
Who is Claude Bertrand?
Claude Bertrand is a 62-year-old divorced father of two grown-up daughters, grandfather of a young child who is now 19 months old, retired for the last 4 years now from the Canadian military. My very first career was as an engineer. I graduated from MacDonald College of McGill University in agricultural engineering, and I worked in that field for about 16 years in Toronto, Thunder Bay, Winnipeg, in the grain industry. And then here in Ottawa, with Measurement Canada, at that time was called Consumer and Corporate Affairs, and I managed a laboratory there in the last few years, the Approvals Laboratory. Then the circumstances of life were such that I changed career entirely, overnight essentially. I joined the military because I always had the dream to be a pilot, a professional pilot. So I joined the military. One day I was in a meeting in Montreal at Château Champlain, and a few weeks later I was in boot camp, no hair, walking up in my arms up and down in Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu. And it was a big gamble. That type of gamble has sort of paid off for me over the years. So it turned out well. I actually got my wings, and then I became an instructor. Flew 3,000 hours altogether on jets, turboprops, helicopters. One tour in Afghanistan, 9 months. It's been a good experience, and I'm very proud of it.
What has drawn you into politics?
I've always had an interest for politics. I'm that generation who grew up through the Quiet Revolution. I was young, but I was aware of the Quiet Revolution. I was not really involved in it per se. But all the family, uncles and aunts were all involved, and I followed it intensely. I had an interest, and I had it as a bucket list item as well, something I would like to do. But I thought at the end I was going to be quite content to be just retired and renovate my cottage. But then Justin Trudeau had the wisdom of making a promise to change the electoral system from the first past the post to proportional representation or some other form of. And I thought that the Trudeau the son was going to put his name on the history, Canadian history, on the good side forever, in having had the wisdom to do this. I voted Liberal. And then he reneged on this a few weeks, months after the election, and I thought, oh, what a trickster. I felt I had been, I don't know, I can't think of many other words. I had to take action. And sort of about 2 years later, I contacted the Green Party because they were in a bar in Wakefield, and I joined them there, and I said, in the end, as part of the conversation, I indicated to them that I was quite willing to become a candidate if they would let me, and they did.
And what do you bring to politics?
Probably a mix of experience which is unique to me. So someone who's had experience in the private sector for 6 years, public sector as a civil servant for 10 years, and the military for 19 years. So that's kind of a blend of service, but blend of experiences, a scientific background. I mean, engineering is actually an applied science. So you have to have a pretty good knowledge of science in general. So that's what I'm bringing.
Why is the Green Party the right party for you?
I actually did a compass. You know, the CBC has this compass, and I did this as a curiosity where you indicate your values and what you are for or against. And they identified me as green, and I had that inkling all along that was the right party. And you know what? That's how I chose it. Now, this doesn't mean that I agree with everything. I don't think one single candidate thinks that it's perfect. I mean, I wouldn't want to be Liberal right now and have to defend a pipeline, But I'm quite pleased to put my name on the Green Party ticket and to endorse its platform.
What are your major concerns about the Pontiac, in particular this part of the Pontiac?
Yeah, well, look, the Pontiac has got two personalities. Right? There's the southeastern Pontiac near Gatineau, near Ottawa, that benefits greatly from the proximity to the big center. Either people work for the government, or they work in businesses that cater to the government, or they just benefit from a financially good situation over there. But the rest of the Pontiac has been suffering. It's a depressed economy. There was a good past economy based on the exploitation of resources, and we're talking forestry, farms, and all of the associated fields, like you're driving a truck, repairing the truck, and all of that. But we know what happened to the paper industry. And the forestry industry is a bit more complicated to understand how we actually lost this. But if you drive along the Highway 5, Highway 105 up to Maniwaki, it's truck after truck of wood that has been harvested in Pontiac, but they're going away. Those are jobs that could be processed here, but we lost those jobs somehow. So there's a whole process that we have to go through to get our economy back on its feet.
If you were elected 4 years from now, what would you want to be able to claim were your major achievements?
The revitalization of the economy of the Pontiac is probably the biggest one. I plan on establishing a task force, including federal, provincial, municipal, elected officials, but also Aboriginal leaders, industrial leaders, to come to a task force to get together and analyze how we can best put the Pontiac back on its feet. It does mean that the federal and the provincial would have to put some money to kickstart this economy. That's unavoidable. I mean, the infrastructure in itself needs to be improved, and we're talking internet access, cellular access, roads to be repaired. There was a railroad along this line here. For some reason, we lost it. I actually lived in Aylmer, and I saw the truck going by and picking up the rails, and I thought, why are they doing this? Anyway, that would be my greatest achievement. I have one.
Where are you on the issue of nuclear energy, and in particular with regard to Chalk River?
Yeah. The Green Party, from the start, is not supporting the nuclear industry. Not necessarily because of its record in Fukushima and 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl. It's primarily because of the waste. We've never found a solution to the waste. And as you know, the Canadian Nuclear Laboratories are not planning to build a above ground, they call it a near surface disposal facility. That's perfectly wrong. What they should call it, essentially it's like a swimming pool from Canadian Tire above ground that you fill with water. That's very well known, They should call it an above ground nuclear waste disposal dump, essentially. And they're going to cover it with a tarp at the end of the 50 years that it's going to take to fill it with 1 million cubic feet of waste. And then they're going to be keeping it there for 500 years or so until the low intensity nuclear energy goes down, the radiation. I'm against it completely. Why put this 1 kilometer from the major river that we have in this continent going eastward? It's like, I would defy you to find a worse spot. If you told me it's going to be 200 kilometers upstream from Ottawa and Montreal and 3 rivers in Quebec City and so on, I say, okay, but at least it's not next to the river. And then you tell me, oh, yeah, actually, it is 1 kilometer from the river. I would say, well, that's insane. Why are you doing this? And they're doing this to save money. It's essentially easier to have this facility on the Ottawa River because the scientists and engineers and technicians already live at Chalk River. That's the only reason to put it there. There is no other reason to risk compromising the water of the entire population along the river by putting it there. They should put it away, a significant distance, in a completely different environment. That's the solution. Yeah.
And what about climate change? Where are you on that issue?
There's a debate tonight, and my opening sentence to this debate in Campbell's Bay is based on climate change. And I'm actually saying in my opening statement, this election, although we will be talking, all the parties compare their plans with regards to the elderly and housing and secondary schooling being free and faster internet, and there's a whole gamut of elements and platform. I'm saying to them, this election is not about the economy. It's not about growth, and it's not about Justin Trudeau or whatever he may. It's not about that. That's a small stuff. It's almost it's about the climate emergency. It's no longer a climate warming. It's an emergency now. If you look at the constant reports now we're getting from the IPCC, there's just no denying. One would have to be a complete You know, the people who deny that it's happening are probably the flat earthers, you know, or the ones who deny the moon landing, or you can name all the kinds of how there is such a, the vaxxers who deny the effectiveness of vaccines. How have we ever come to the point where the population, a good part of the population, be it political parties, have come to so mistrust the scientists that do nothing but that. That's what, if you go to the doctor tomorrow and the doctor tells you this is what ails you, are you going to seek a doctor until you find one that has a completely different opinion? The doctor's job, that's all he does, or she does. So the scientists, that's all they do. That's their job. And they're telling us outright what's happening, and it's for us, the politician, to make a decision.
And what would you as a politician decide to do?
Well, the Green Party has set up a plan. It's called Mission Possible. It's a 20 steps action plan. So very well detailed in our platform. It was actually released prior to the platform. I could go through some of the items, but it's worth going to the Green Party website. Mission Possible is actually a very, very good plan. And if I may say, it was such a good plan that the NDP copied a lot of it. It inspired other people, and that's great. We like that it inspired other people.
What's your view of the Quebec secular legislation?
Bill 21, yeah. The Green Party's position is that Green Party supports secularism. The Green Party does not support Bill 21 as tabled. If in the House of Commons there were to be a vote on any matters relating to Bill 21, the Green Party MP would make a plebiscite in the riding and would vote in the House of Commons according to the will of the population on the plebiscite.
So if the majority of the people felt that it was appropriate to discriminate against minorities, that would be fine?
It would be reflecting the vote of the people. Yeah.
Do you have any other comments or thoughts you want to share?
Well, gosh, what can I think? Nothing for now. I'm really glad to have had this opportunity. We have 3 more weeks, really, essentially, to change people, to convince them that the Green Party is the right party. It's going to be a minority government, most likely. And now the kingmakers will be the parties, the minority parties, that will, by associating themselves with the proper parties, voting along the given parties in place, will be able to push those policies, negotiate and push those policies that really will make a difference, amongst other things, on climate emergency.